Hey, what's up, Stay Tuners? It's your good friend Jimbo here, letting you know that today's podcast is presented by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo. I recently joined as a member and you can too. Apply today and let them know that you heard from Stay Tuned Sports and you start earning today. That's podgo.co at podgo.co.
Heard the rest. Now here's the best Stay Tuned Sports Podcast.
And hello there, all you Stay Tuners. Welcome back to another episode of Stay Tuned Sports. It's your good friend Jimbo here, kind of with a makeshift recording area. Just bought a house last Friday, so we're still kind of moving some stuff in. So sorry for the sound if it's not up to normal par, but definitely wanted to do some more another episode this week, being that I did just pretty much a quick one last week with UFC 251, which it wasn't a bad pay-per-view. Some questions, but we're going to touch on that a little bit later on. But going to look back the past 2 weeks, so last week and this week of sports news. Patrick Mahomes signing the big record-setting contract in sports history, and some Eagles talk. Deshaun Jackson was in the news earlier, late last week, I should say, after I recorded anyways. But I give my opinion about that with people yelling for him to be cut and things of that nature. But before all that, head over to Twitter, follow us there at ST Sports Podcast. I'm there 99% of the time, so if you want to argue about why Deshaun Jackson should have been cut or not cut, or my sound stunk this week or whatever, hey, that's where you find us. But also like and share our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel, because once I do finally get moved into where I want to be recording, not hear motorcycles like that in the background, I'm going to do live shows as well. So getting into the episode here. So like I said, Patrick Mahomes last week signed a 10-year, $503 million contract. Excuse me. Now, really, it's more of a 12-year contract because he still had 2 years left on his rookie deal. And with this contract that he signed, he'll be making an average of $45 million a year. It's the biggest contract in any sports history, baseball, hockey, anything. Now, a lot of people were shocked that the Chiefs did it this early, but if you really think about it, the Chiefs were smart by doing it now, because with the pandemic going on, not knowing how football is going to go this year, most likely next year the salary cap is going to, at best, stay the same. So, by signing him now, you're not going to have to worry about paying him $50 million a year. And you got him for the next 12 years. And really, once you break the contract down and everything, it sounds like it's big, and it is big. But really, it's a year-to-year contract after, I think I saw it was like after the 2023 season. Because at signing, only $63 million of the 141 were guaranteed. And after the 2023 season, it breaks down that if he's on the roster the third day of the calendar year of 2024, then his 2025 year is guaranteed, and basically it goes like that until the life of the contract. And the other parts too were the incentives. It really wasn't too many incentives other than he gets $1.25 million if he wins the Super Bowl, and $1.25 million if he's named the NFL MVP for the life of the contract. So that's how the numbers really come up to $503 million. Now, I think, though, this was a risk for the Chiefs, because all it takes is one Alex Smith injury or Dante Culpepper injury, and he's still owed that money. So you're going to be paying a boatload of money for a quarterback that may never recover. Now, it's one of those what ifs, could be, should be type deals, but it's a risky move. I think, he's definitely the franchise, the face of the franchise. He's definitely shown he's the quarterback for that team. He's not a one-hit wonder, if you want to call it that. But $503 million, that is a lot of money that you're tying up in one position. I understand the quarterback position is a very valuable, very highly valuable position on the team that you want to take care of. But now, even though the next 2 years he's still only making, I think, $5 million on his rookie deal, once that's up and he hits this new contract, what kind of salary cap shape is the Chiefs going to be in then? I'm sure, you got Kelsey there. It's going to probably want a new contract or redo his contract once Zach Ertz and Little from the Niners sign their deals. Because again, I stated this a few times on the show that I still think Zach Ertz and Kelsey are the 1-2 of tight end positions in the league. So he's going to want to get paid. How do the Chiefs pull that off? Now, Mahomes' deal is heavily backloaded. So do they front load maybe Kelsey's and not backload his contract? It's going to be interesting to see, but this I really think this is a really risky move by the Chiefs. It's a good move. I agree with it, but man, it's a lot of money tying up in one position. Now, moving on to this whole Washington Redskin situation with them changing their name now. Came out Monday that they have announced that they are going to retire the 87-year-old Redskin logo and name and look into renaming it before the start of training camp, which there's only roughly, 2 weeks till we get training camp here? Daniel Snyder for a while fought this. He did not want to change it. And I think the last straw was late last week. 3 of the minority owners threatened to sell their share of the team. Amazon stopped selling Redskin merchandise, and even FedEx wrote a letter to the team saying, change the name or we're not sponsoring the stadium anymore, even though they signed a contract back in, I think it was like 2004 or so. I saw. I don't know. I don't mean to start any bad blood or any fights with you guys, but I don't know how the Redskin logo is offensive. And then on top of that, reading the article on ESPN, the rumor came out that they were thinking about naming the Washington Warriors. And this group that got the ball rolling to get the name changed. And it turns out that this was actually in the works, changing the name for a while because Daniel Snyder and the league came out and said that he did start the paperwork and start talking to them a few months ago about changing the name. But when the rumors started to come out that they were thinking about changing the name to the Washington Warriors, this group was against that. They want nothing to do, they want the name to, anything to do with any type of Native American. And the funny part about this whole situation is the person that made the logo was a Native American. And I understand the times have changed and things like that, and everything that we're going through right now, there needs to be some changes. But it wasn't a white person that made this logo, or a black person made this logo. If it was offensive now, why wasn't it offensive back then when the Native American who made the logo made it? It should have been offensive back then as well. And I'm probably going to stir some shit up here. And, I appreciate everybody's opinion. And I welcome it too. I'm curious to see what everybody's opinion about this situation is. But as far as the new logo coming about, the Redskins released a statement saying Dan Snyder and Coach Ron Rivera are working closely to develop a new name and design approach that will enhance the standing of our proud tradition-rich franchise and inspire our sponsors, fans, and community for the next 100 years. Now, they did say they're going to keep with the burgundy and gold, and Ron Rivera said he would like to go more towards the military side of the logo, which I think would be pretty cool. I mean, with the naval bases down there in DC and stuff like that, I think they should really go something with the Navy, like a naval logo type, something like that. But if and going back to what I read that when the rumor came out about them possibly naming it the Washington Warriors, the person that was pushing for this said that, like I said, they don't want it. Well, if that's the case, you got to change Golden State Warriors. I mean, if you can't use Warriors for the NFL, why can't you use it for the NBA? If we're going to change one, we got to change them all. At some point, I think we really need to sit down with the people that may feel that this is, a logo or a name, may feel it's discriminatory or hurtful, and both sides need to keep an open mind and hear each other out. Just like Deshaun Jackson, going into that story here. So last week on his Instagram, he posted a Adolf Hitler quote that was aimed towards the Jewish community, basically saying they're gonna blackmail America to take it over. He thought it was more of a inspirational, uplifting quote, and in hindsight, it turned out that it's really not. Let's be honest. Anything Adolf Hitler said is not uplifting at all. So Philly, the Eagles, sat down, talked to him about it, and in the end, they fined him a substantial amount. They didn't say how much. It also said he still has a lot of work to do to prove to be on this team. Now, there's a couple things I want to say about this situation with Deshaun Jackson. As far as the Eagles fans yelling for him to be cut, he doesn't deserve to be on the team, this and that, the other thing. Did he mess up? Oh, God, yeah, he messed up. This is one of those didn't think before I hit send situations. Because let's not forget, his boss and the owner of his team are both Jewish. So, if he meant to do this, why If he didn't mean to do this, that's what I meant to say. If he didn't mean to do this, why would he send it out there knowing his bosses are Jewish? I don't think he purposely did it so he could get off the team, because let's look at the stories the past couple weeks. He's been mentoring Jalen Hurts. He's been mentoring Jalen Reagor, the new rookie that we drafted. He legit feels like he wants to be with the Eagles and finish his career with the Eagles. So I think this is a really big oops by him, and I hope he learns his lesson. And I'm glad also to see, Julian Edelman came out, said that he wants to take Deshaun to the Holocaust Museum. And then there was a Holocaust survivor that offered to sit down with him and talk to him about all the situations that he survived. And Deshaun accepted both of their invites, which I'm proud of that. And that's the thing, is that's how we help change the stuff that's going on. We all have to keep an open mind of what's going on. One person may think they're right until they hear the other person's side of the story, and then it'll be like, oh, you know what? Yeah, that's right. You sound like I understand what you mean now. I understand your side of the story now. Now, for the people yelling to cut him and this and that, fortunately, the Eagles already set the precedent for something like this back with Riley Cooper. Let's not forget, I mean, granted, Riley Cooper's no Deshaun Jackson. He had one good year that he got that big contract extension, 5 years or whatever. And I won't lie, I was a big Cooper fan. I have one of his jerseys. I thought he was possibly the next big Eagle receiver for us, but didn't pan out that way. But let's not forget what happened to him at the country concert he was at. I forget who he was seeing. Dropped the N-word towards a person, and they fined him substantially. They didn't cut him. So the Eagles, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, set the precedent of, okay, if you do something racial, whether it's a slur or crime, here's how we're going to handle it. At a minimum, this is what's going to happen. Depending on how bad the offense is, it would be more. So sticking with some Eagles talk here, the bodyguard is back with the Eagles. Jason Peters signs a 1-year deal for $3 million with incentives that could make it reach $6 million. And no, he's not playing tackle. He is going to play right guard, replacing Brandon Brooks, who tore his ACL out. Or I'm sorry, not ACL, Achilles. Yeah, got the A's right. Now, I did see a lot of Eagles fans were upset over this signing. One, because Brian Baldinger from NFL Network came out and said that the Eagles were going to make, a big signing to make the team a lot better mid-July, this and that. One, I hope this is not the big sign he's talking about, because if it is, NFL Network, even better check and make sure he's not doing drugs. Big sign to me would be like Clowney signing with the Eagles for $5 million, or us trading for Jamal Adams, or something of that nature. This is a good signing. I do like this signing, don't get me wrong, but this is not the signing that's going to push the Eagles over the Super Bowl type news. So I saw some of the Eagles fans were against this. He's going to be false starting, this and that. I think this is the best spot for him. And here's another reason why I like the Eagles signing it, because he's an insurance policy for our left tackle. Andre Dillard is supposed to be taking over from day one as our left tackle. Let's just say he doesn't perform as well as we thought. We could always bounce Peters back to left tackle and Dillard to right guard, because Dillard could play right guard, and plus put on a little bit of that strength this offseason. I think that would be a good situation. Also, let's say Dillard plays a little bit better than we were expecting, but not as good as we were expecting. Peters is still there to mentor him, and that's what he did for Dillard's rookie year. Also, as far as Jason Peters, with all the false starts, he's not going to have to worry about edge rushers now. That's the main reason why he was jumping off sides all the time. If you look at the stats and the game film, most of the time that he was doing false starts was because he's going up against speed rushers. Now he's moved inside where he has Lane Johnson on his right side, that he has to worry about the speed rusher. If they do some type of stunt, he's going to be already in his stance ready for the speed rusher to come at him. I really like the signing, and obviously I hope we win the Super Bowl, but I really hope we do win the Super Bowl just for Jason Peters to say, hey, I played in a Super Bowl. And it's only $3 million. For a future Hall of Famer, I think this was a very good pickup. So this past weekend was UFC 251, Masvidal versus Usman. What's the word I'm trying to look for? The first fight of Fight Island, unveiling of Fight Island. And overall, I think it was a pretty good card. There was some good fights on the main card. I mean, like I said, you had Usman Masvidal for the welterweight belt. We had Volkanovski versus Max Holloway for the featherweight belt. Peter Yan versus Jose Aldo for the bantamweight belt. Rose Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade. Honestly, I think it was maybe more of a number one contender fight, the way it sounded afterwards. And then kicking it off was Paige Van Zandt versus Amanda Ribas. Obviously, Paige Van Zandt, we all knew she was going to lose. That was her last fight on her UFC contract. Even Dana White came out and said that he suggests Paige Van Zandt test the free agent water. So I will not be surprised if within a week we see her signed with Bellator. And then, when she's at Bellator, I'd be curious to see how she does. Bellator, to me, is like the AAA of the UFC. They're good fighters over there, but they're not the 5-star type fighters that the UFC has. The Rose Namajunas fight, I got wrong, and I'll tell you what, I picked Andrade to win because I was thinking Rose would have a lot of ring rust and just didn't seem like her mentality was all there because of everything that's happened in the past year. Retiring, then coming back, then having a family member pass away because of COVID. Just didn't think she'd be all there. And I'll tell you what, man, I thought it was one of her better performances, even though it was a split decision. It was a little questionable, I think. But I think during the commentary, I think someone suggested about Rose possibly going for a championship now. I'm not a big believer in you win one fight, you go for the belt. I think she needs to do one more top 3 type contender fight and then go for that belt. Because if she could put a very good performance on again, that may make Amanda Nunes rethink about retiring and come back and fight. Then after her, we had a little bit of controversy, maybe. Peter Yan versus Jose Aldo. Peter Yan won the vacant bantamweight belt left by Henry Cejudo, who's already talking crap. Like, just either go retire or come back and fight. Pick one. I hate these fighters that, I'm retired, but I still could beat you, this and that. Well, then come back and stop talking behind a keyboard. Good fight up into the end. Jose Aldo was on his back, covering his ears. Probably a good 50 punches Peter Yan was connecting with. I mean, it looked like he was connecting with them, and the ref was giving Aldo all the room in the world to try to get out of it. And he was moving, and maybe that's the reason why the ref was giving a little bit of leeway between the two, and instead of stopping the fight. But in the end, Peter Yan won due to punches. Then we had the co-main event. This was controversy, and it still is. Volkanovski defeats Max Holloway for the featherweight belt to retain it. I had Holloway winning. Sounds like a lot of people had Holloway winning. Was it a close fight? Yes. But I had 1-2 Holloway, 4-5 for Volkanovski, and I had 3, like a 10-9 round for Holloway in the third round. Now, unfortunately, this is what happens when you bring inexperienced judges. The judges that were there weren't your typical MMA judges, because again, with everything going on, can't fly over to certain countries from America. But if there's one thing, and probably only one thing, I agree with Dana White. In this sport, you cannot leave anything in the judges' hands, because you don't know how it's going to go. And that's exactly what happened here. Now, I liked the one question the reporter asked Dana White at the post-fight conferences. Normally, you don't see a third fight after a fighter gets 2 losses. But with this one being controversial, does Holloway get a rematch? I know I've said on the show here a few times that I'm totally against fighters getting a title fight coming off of losses. This one, though, I think is different. Like I said, I think Holloway won. So I really think this little war between the two of them is 1-1. I think you have to give Holloway the rematch. Otherwise, give him a number 1 contender fight. Don't make him go back and try to win 3 fights in a row. That's, to me, it's just not fair. So hopefully UFC, Dana White, and the matchmakers do right and give Max Holloway a rematch. Then the main event, Usman versus Masvidal. The 6-day notice obviously showed its face for Masvidal. First round he looked good, but as the fight went on, he just started slowing down. Usman pretty much just grappled him, foot stomped him, grappled him. I mean, can't be mad at a guy that's how he wants to fight. Let him fight that way. May not be entertaining to us, but he wants to hold that belt. He wants to win the belt. That's all he cares about. That's all these fighters care about, is how to win. I'm not here to entertain. I mean, you kind of are, but you're that's not in your head when you're in the ring. You're trying to not get your head taken off. But the interesting thing about this is the next day, Masvidal came out and said he wants a rematch. Immediate rematch. And he said even if that means passing up a huge payday against Conor McGregor. Here's the thing. Can he beat Usman? I still think he could. I think if he had a full training camp, I think he could beat Usman. Does he deserve it? No. Because again, you rolled the dice there. Like he said, he rolled the dice on his momentum and he came up short. I'm not saying he goes all the way back to the line and has to start fighting, 15th ranked guys. Give him someone in the top 5. Give him the Conor McGregor. A week or so before this fight, the rumor came out that Conor might have been getting the chance at the 170 title, this and that. Well, make this a number 1 contender fight. If Masvidal can dominate Conor McGregor, then yes, he deserves a rematch then after that fight. And also, if Conor were to fight Masvidal, this is time now to strike for that fight. We've seen plenty of times, Fedor versus Brock Lesnar, Fedor versus Randy Couture, I think we wanted to see. Chuck Liddell versus Rampage was just a couple years too late. GSP versus Anderson Silva, just a couple years too late. This is a time to strike now. You got 2 very good strikers. Most likely not going to see any groundwork with these guys. And you are going to sell a shitload of pay-per-views. So both guys are going to make money. Got to make that match. That's the only match to make for Masvidal, and I think for McGregor. So I think that's going to be it for this week. Definitely an interesting week for me, with the whole move and everything, but luckily we have some sports coming back. August 1st, it was released, the NHL schedule. August 1st is the first games. Baseball is in, 2 weeks? NFL training camps are going to be right around the corner, hopefully. So we'll have a lot more topics to talk about. So head over to Twitter, follow us there at ST Sports Podcast, like and share our Facebook page, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Because like I said, we're going to eventually have some live shows on there. You guys could interact with me. And hopefully next week, once I have the house all set up, I'll even do a live audio on Podbean like I did a couple weeks ago. So till next week, this is your good friend Jimbo, signing out.